I am so pleased to be working with Austin Pedal Cars on this project. Their help and support along the way is going to be so helpful. If you have got a pedal car or you're restoring one yourself and you need any parts for it at all, click on the link in the description below, visit their website and you'll be amazed. They've put a huge amount of effort into reproducing anything you could ever need for these beautiful little pedal cars. Let's get into the video. Welcome to another video. Thanks for joining us again. I've come to the workshop this morning first thing, had a little tidy up and a sweep up because Paul Medhurst from Type 2 Detectives is coming over, which would usually be a really good day, but it's a sad day. I'm having to say goodbye to my split bus. After a few years of owning it, many problems, many engine removals, repairing, smashing into the drain cover, rebuilding, whole new front beam, repainting the roof, repainting the bumpers, changing the wheels, sign writing it with all of the Ranelagh writing, with just finally just getting it to a place where it's, you know, reliable, on the button, starts and rides and drives really nice. And I've got to get rid of it. I've got to sell it. The obvious thing to do was to reach out to Paul at Type 2 Detectives. They've got such a good reputation in the VW industry. They just know what they're doing. They're really, really good guys. So they are going to take it away from my workshop, take it to their showroom, and try and sell it. It's a very sad start to the video, and I'm gutted. Wendy's here, she's sad as well. But I will say it's for a good reason. Basically, I'm trying my best to build an aero-engined Edwardian special. And that is an expensive decision to make, and I just don't have the money. So I'm having to say goodbye to a few of my toys. The BSA is for sale, the bus is for sale, the Triumph Tiger, maybe if somebody wants it. I just need to claw together as much money as I can. But I will say the Porsche is not going anywhere. The Porsche is here to stay, and we will get that finished. This is just a little side project. But so anyway, I'm going to carry on sweeping up, pottering around, put some sad music on, and wait for Paul Medhurst and the guys from Type 2 Detectives to come with a trailer and take away my little panel van. It's a sad day, but it's for good reason. Let's look to the future, look forwards. It's for a good reason. Well, that's it. Goodbye to the bus. I'm so gutted. And the BSA. They took the BSA as well. I'm so sad. It's for a good cause. But let's get on with it. Let's get on with the pedal car and have a good day. So this is the boot floor. We're going to try and remake this panel. This original one, unfortunately, is just too far gone. It's got some horrible welding around this back edge, and all over it, it's covered in loads of tiny holes. It's so thin, and this is quite a structural part of the pedal car. It ties both the arches together, the boot end joins at the back, the seat actually goes onto the front there. There's a lot going on, and it's a structural piece, so I'm going to remake it completely. It looks like a fairly straightforward panel. It's mostly flat, apart from a sort of double fold on this edge here, and these beads, which are going to be the conundrum of the day. Making those beads should be fairly straightforward, but unfortunately, I haven't got the tool you need to make them. I've got the machine, but you need different tooling. Let me explain. This is a bead roller. It has these two wheels on the front, which you can change depending on which profile you're trying to make. But basically, there's like a male and a female. That has got a half round, sort of rounded shape. You can get those square or round and different sizes, but they're a matching pair. So that pushes inside of that. If you were a flat sheet of steel, you're going to get pushed through there, and it's going to be deformed into that shape, pushing this half round shape into the panel, creating a bead. I've got 3 or 4 sets of these sort of bead wheels for the bead roller, but that is the biggest set that I've got. And unfortunately, they're nowhere near big enough. I've called around during the week, but nobody had them wide enough. And the beads on this original rear boot panel are quite fat, they're quite wide. So we're going to start on the lathe because we're going to have to make our own. I only need to make 4 beads with them, so they don't need to be hardened or anything like that. Just mild steel will be fine. The biggest diameter I've got is 50 mil. That's the biggest piece of steel round bar that I've got. So that's going to have to do. First of all, I'm starting with the lower wheel, which would be essentially the female, the valley that the metal will be pushed into. I've already drilled out the ID to match the spindle on the machine. I've taken some measurements from the original beads on the original panel, so I know the width that I need, and I just keep removing material with the parting off tool until I've got the width that I need at the depth that I need. Now I'm using the parting off tool for its intended purpose, for parting off. So it's just cutting through the steel until it gets to the hole that I've already drilled in the middle, and then it falls off and we're done. There we go, finished, looking brilliant. Unfortunately, there's an issue. The Bailey bead roller that I've intended to put this on, the ID fits perfectly, but because I only had a piece of 50 mil wide steel, the actual OD of the wheel is not big enough, and it would not go down enough for the 2 wheels to actually meet and cause that impression that we need to make the bead. But luckily, I've got another machine. It's not ideal because this one is manually cranked. You have to turn it by hand. It's not quite the right machine for this, but it will do the job. I've had a look, and of course, the ID, the axle that the wheels fit over is different. So back to the lathe to open out and make slightly larger the ID so it fits over the axle, and we're almost there. Apart from this machine, there's a little key in the axle and a keyway on the actual original wheels to stop them from rotating. A clever design, but a pain, because now my wheel also needs a keyway broaching into it. Luckily, I've got my new arbor press and a lovely broaching set, so we're able to just munch down a little keyway. So then, gladly, it fits onto the machine, perfect. Onto the top wheel. Exactly the same process, turning the ID, making that the right size to fit on the axle, then out to the OD, using the parting tool to remove material either side of the middle piece, leaving that as big a diameter as possible, because then I needed to make that half round shape. I didn't film it because I did not have the right tool to do it. You don't even want to know how I did it. It was horrendous. I was just taking like steps out of it and then trying to blend it and then sanding it and smooth, filing it round. I only need this to put 4 beads in this panel, and that is it. As long as I've got the profile right, which it looks okay, I think we'll be fine. Use the parting tool again here to cut the finished wheel off of the remaining bit of bar that's in the lathe, and there we go. Male and female dies, done. The one with the half round on it needs a keyway putting in it as well, so back to the hydraulic press to cut in a keyway for that. The top wheel with the half round is in place, and thank goodness for that. The bottom wheel fits on perfectly, and yes, this machine winds down enough so that I can actually close these 2 wheels up close enough so that they'll do exactly what we need to do. Just got a scrap of metal here, and I'm just going to run a sort of little test piece through, crank it all the way down, wind it all the way down through, back and forwards a few times, and I can offer this up to the original panel, and look at that. Bingo. I'm not going to say perfect because it's not, but it's as close as I need to be for this. I'm chuffed with that. It's taken a long time to make those 2 tools. Now we've got the tooling confirmed, we can actually start making the panel. The original panel that I've got from my car, I'll hammer it around and get it nice and flat, transfer that and some measurements onto a new sheet of steel. Then we're going to have to go through the process of pre-stretching it with the wheeling machine in the areas that I want to actually put the beads in. So let's get templating. And I'm going to use the original panel to draw around, take some measurements from, and transfer all of that onto the new sheet of steel. I've marked all my lines for where the beads need to go. Little one there, long one there, little one there, and one up there. And then I've got it rough cut for now. I'll go back and cut it later, a bit closer. And this is for the edge that needs to be tipped up. This is a big flange on the side that's folded, and then there's 2 folds here to do. at the front of the seat edge. As we put the piece of metal through the bead roller, it's kind of pinching, it's stealing material. It needs more material. It's stretching it to fit, to make that profile, to make that shape. So I'm going to use the wheeling machine to pre-stretch the area, which is going to put a big old crown in the panel, with the assumption that when I put the beads in afterwards, that's going to steal all that material, put it in the beads, and we should end up with a flat panel, or very close to flat. If I just put the beads in now straight away on this flat panel, it will sort of put a big old hollow in it, and it will never be flat because the beads take more material. So the only thing it can do is dish in the whole panel. So we need to put a bit of curve upwards in it. So when you put the beads in, it pulls it down to flat. And I hope that I'll put enough in it in the right place that when I finish, it will be somewhere near flat. This could go very wrong. I've wheeled some shape into the middle to put some pre-stretch in it. Hopefully enough, hopefully not too much. You can see now there's all that wheeling has stretched the panel. That now, look, it's got a massive amount of shape, maybe too much. And then I can start with the bead rolling. Not as easy as you would hope. Goodness me, it was a fight, trying to keep it straight as possible, especially trying to crank the handle and steer it straight. At one point I veered slightly off. The panel still looks like a bit of a mess, and the ends of this, worth noting now, the ends of the beads need sort of hammering around to make a nice round circle, probably with a ball bearing on a stick or something similar to that again. But I'm going to carry on and hope that by folding some edges and tipping some bits, it's going to wrangle itself into shape. I reckon we'll get there. That's hopefully going to help to give the panel a bit more strength before I continue on to use the bead roller again with different sets of dies. This one, you can see the top wheel is kind of like pointy. That is going to sort of dig into the panel and fold it essentially, but I can manipulate the panel and curve it round so I can actually fold around corners. And then I'm using my hammer and dolly to continue to fold the panel up to make a nice 90-degree corner. Takes a long time, a lot of hammering. Also, that stake dolly is mounted onto the new Ranelagh tool posts, which are available now. So any metal shapers out there that have got stake dollies like this that fit in the sort of square tapered hardy hole, now you can get a Ranelagh tool post. So send me a message if you want one. This went on for a long, long time. A lot of hammering, a lot of shaping, a lot of double checking and measuring. But I've got the long edge folded up and then all of the curved sides all tipped up and folded and hammered around, so they're all looking good. Now it's time to deal with the ugly ends of these beads. The solution I had really was to just use my rounded nosed end mill on the lathe, and I just munched in a little bit into a piece of 10mm steel, welded that to a stick, put that in the vise. Then I've got a kind of dolly essentially that's just the right shape, so I can lay the panel over the top, then use a ball peen hammer to hammer the end of the bead in to that little recess that I've created with the end mill. There's a couple of bits on this panel that I'm not super happy with. I may end up remaking the panel and calling this one the test run, but you know what, considering it's quite a complicated panel, I'm quite pleased that I've managed to do this. Look at that, side by side, new and old. I'm really, really chuffed with that. I can offer it up to the chassis to see how it fits. That measurement between the two wheel arches is what I was the most worried about, because with this jig, there's no moving that. It sits on the two inner sill floor panels. Even the profile around the back, that curved corner where it meets the arch, really, really nice. It all lines up lovely. It's quite reassuring, which is making me think it's worth spending a bit more time trying to shrink the panel here and there and tidy up the ends of the beads, because it actually fits really quite nicely. Where to go next? that's the big debate. Let me know what you fancy me doing next on the little pedal car. A huge thank you to Austin Pedal Cars for the continued support. If you've got a pedal car and you need any parts for it, get in touch with the guys. Let them know that you've seen these videos and I'm sure they'll look after you. Honestly, the parts they make are of the best quality. They really are beautiful. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and give us a comment below. Any feedback, always welcome. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
We're a nation of talented makers.
I'm literally painting with the flame.
And I know how life-changing turning our making into money can be.
10 years ago, I quit my full-time job and started my own set design business.
Now, in these inspiring artistic gardens, I've assembled a team of successful professional craftspeople.
I know your talent and I know what you're capable of doing.
To help talented amateurs turn their hobbies and skills into full-time jobs.
I want to put something to you, and I think I want you to try this.
Here we go.
With straight-talking advice.
There's areas like the finish that you could improve.
And plenty of hard work.
Let's do it. Let's get it done.
They'll make serious money.
I've made £4,150.
Oh my God!
I've made £6,300.
Can we change places?
Yeah.
And create dream businesses.
It's like I'm talking about somebody else.
It's been life-changing.